What's up everybody? Welcome to another ranking of the bosses here on my channel. We're going to do something fun. Let's rank the bosses in Furi. Easiest to hardest. I didn't have much trouble putting together this list. I had a list in mind already. There was a couple I kind of switched around once I really thought about it. But for the most part, this list was pretty easy to make. So go ahead and let me know your guys' list in the comment section. Think about it as you watch this video. Let's just go ahead and get into it. We're going to start with I guess it would be number 10 because we're going to go 10 to 1. Easiest to hardest. Number 10, the Beat. Now, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's going to think this. This boss was not hard at all. I was kind of expecting something much more. I was expecting something very challenging, especially coming from the edge. I was thinking, man, this is only going to get harder. What is happening next? And when I got to this boss, I was kind of disappointed. I mean, the atmosphere was cool. It was like this snow level. A lot of people call this chick the snow girl because she's just, you know, in her environment and she's just all about getting away from you. It's really all about using the platforms just to get to her and just avoiding what's coming at you. And if you're even the least bit good at platformers, you're not going to struggle with this. It's just about avoiding things, trying to hop over to the next platform and just get there. And the thing about it that makes it even more easier is that if you do happen to die or you fall off, it will put you where you were. It's not like it's going to set you back at the beginning. I think if they did that, especially when you die, that was kind of surprising to me. When I died, I was back where I was, and that was kind of weird. So if they would have set me all the way back at the beginning, that would probably add more challenge, but they didn't do that. So because of that, and because of the fight itself just not being that challenging, this is definitely the most easiest boss in Furi. Next at number 9, we have the Chain. Now this is the tutorial boss, so once you get past being a noob and not knowing what to do and you learn the moves, you learn how to play, this guy is such a piece of cake. His phases are not very hard. They do get harder as you go, but for the most part, I'd say the challenge kind of remains the same. As long as you can dodge, as long as you can parry when you need to, you're fine. And then when it comes to the close quarters with this guy, he's not all that bad. I mean, he has the red waves at the bottom that you have to avoid. He has, you know, his moveset that he has with his stick or whatever. I like to call him Donatello because he likes to do these moves with his bow, and he kind of throws it at you and stuff. And if you can avoid that, this guy's pretty much light work. Even that last phase, it's a little troublesome at first, but once you get past dodging and you figure out the right times to dodge, you can get past these orbs. It's not so bad. So he's definitely a good tutorial boss. I felt like it was a good introduction to the game and nicely placed. It wasn't too hard, it wasn't too easy, it was just kind of like an introduction. That was good. But in terms of ranking this guy against the other bosses, yeah, he's definitely much easier, and so that's why he's so high, or low, I should say. He's so low on this list. Next at number 8, we have the Hand, also known as the shield guy. This guy uses a shield against you, which kind of takes away you being able to use your gun, because if you shoot at him while he's equipped with the shield, he's going to ricochet that back at you. So if you do a charge shot, you're almost close to dead. It's pretty damaging. So if you can just get around that, and once he drops his shield or has an opening, you can shoot him, but really you have to rely on your weapon for this. You got to rely on parrying, you got to rely on those close quarters, so that way you can get some hits in. Overall, this guy was kind of boring to me, which is kind of the reason I didn't even upload this fight to my channel. I just didn't see much about him to even hate, because at the beginning, if you notice the dialogue there, he talks to his son and he says, "I'm fighting for you, and I'm fighting for much more." It almost makes me feel like I'm the enemy coming in, I'm the bad guy. And so because of that, I had a hard time really having a vendetta against this guy, or really having some kind of want to really beat him. And because of that, I went easy mode on him. There was times where I was just real sloppy, I wasn't trying very hard, and I kind of got bored. It was weird. I didn't expect that to happen. I mean, when it comes to his design, it's kind of cool, but he is much slower, so I think that makes him a lot easier than the other bosses. And because of the whole shield thing, and then just figuring out, okay, when can I shoot him? And then once I got that, you know, it just made it easier. I felt like I can work at him in a distance, I can avoid stuff, I can dodge things pretty easily. And then once I get in those close quarters, it was just all about parrying, and for the most part I did pretty well. At the end, he does have a phase where he constantly goes after you and you have to parry, I'd say maybe 20 times in a row. It feels that way. So if you could just get that down, you'll get through. And that was kind of challenging for me because I'm not the best at parrying in this game. But once I got through that, I was just kind of like, okay, let's move on to the next, because he just wasn't that great to me, I guess. So yeah, that's why he's so low on this list. Let me know what you guys think about this guy. I'm kind of curious because I really didn't like him as a boss. I don't know, I just wasn't feeling him too much. Next at number 7, we have the Line. This guy honestly wasn't that bad for me. I felt like, you know, when I watched other people fight this guy, they had a lot of trouble with him. And I think it's just because he's only the 3rd boss in the game. Okay, so up until that point, we've only really seen the parrying. We've only really seen the dodging that we have to do. And then when it comes to this guy, he kind of brings you outside of the box and shows you some new things that you have to avoid and some things that you have to counter and other tactics that you have to use. So I think for new players, myself included, because I did kind of struggle with him a little bit at the beginning, when we come into this fight, we're thinking it's going to be more of what we've already seen, but he brings new things to the table, and because of that, I think it throws people off. And it can become overwhelming, especially at the beginning. You have those squares around him. If you shoot those squares down, you have your shots ricocheting, you have all kinds of stuff to worry about. So what I did was I just shot the squares in a diagonal line just to get to him. I would wait and wait until those things would come around so I can get in that same line, because I didn't want to deal with all that. And that was something I figured out right away. And I think that helped me because it set me up to be very patient. And so I was patient through the whole fight. I wasn't trying to rush it. I wasn't trying to hurry up and hit him as fast as I can. I took my time, and I think that helped me a lot. And that's probably the reason why I felt like this guy wasn't that bad, because I took my time and just got it done. When I was watching other people, they were kind of rushing it. They're just shooting as much as they can. They're trying to dodge as much as they can without realizing, okay, there's some things you have to dodge, but he's at a delay now. Like the rings that are around you, he put that at a delay. You have to kind of wait for the right moment to dodge out of there. And once I figured that out, along with some other things that I had to just be patient about, he was a piece of cake. I felt like he wasn't so bad, especially that last phase. I just kind of remained at the edges and shot straight in front of me. I have a video about, you know, how I beat this boss, and that's pretty much what I said. I just said that I remained at the borders of this stage and just shot straight through, and I was able to get him. I wasn't hit by anything. And those were things that I quickly just figured out. And maybe I just got lucky that way. Maybe it just came to me easier than to other people, and that's why I had an easier time. I don't know, but this guy wasn't so bad. I felt like he was a decent fight. Being that he was boss number 3, I felt like he was nicely placed. He introduced new things that we had to counter and kind of set us up for the rest of the game, showing us that, hey, it's not just the close quarters, or it's not just this one specific thing we have to worry about. There's other things we have to worry about. And so I felt like he was a good boss to have at that part of the game. And yeah, but beyond that, he wasn't like crazy hard for me. I felt like, you know, he was definitely easier than some of the rest on this list. Next at number 6, we have the Strap. This crazy chick gave me some problems, especially at the end with that big laser. I didn't know that if I just stayed on the right side, kind of close to her, that my dodges would just automatically work. Now, sometimes it wouldn't, but for the most part, even if I felt like I mistimed it, I would get through. And I don't know if that's a glitch or what, and I even say it in my playthrough, or I think I did when I put up that boss battle. I felt like it was a glitch because I knew I was off and I knew I was not timing some of them right, but those dodges just worked. So if you haven't fought this boss yet, or you're going to fight it, or you are having trouble, try that right side. I will definitely show you some footage right now so you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, this boss did have some difficult moments, including the one I just talked about. Leading up to that last phase, she has a lot of close quarters where you have to dodge and parry, of course. I say dodge first because when I fought this thing the first couple of times, I was just trying to dodge everything because I was more comfortable doing that. I felt like I had more confidence doing that. And for the most part, it worked. I would just dodge as much as I could and then hit her when I can. I know the later bosses in the game, you can't necessarily get away with that, but with her, I was able to for at least most of it. And if I didn't feel like parrying, I wouldn't. And so because of that, you know, I did probably make it more difficult on myself, because not only was I doing that and kind of wasting time just trying not to parry, I also didn't do the charged dash, which makes you dash further. And when she throws these waves at you, she'll throw one at a time, but then she starts throwing like 3 in one, so it covers more ground, and you're supposed to use the dash, the charged one, to cover more ground and dodge through it. But because I didn't know that and I wasn't doing that, I was having a more difficult time. I was trying to just get around it. I was trying to stay close to her so that way I could just completely avoid it and get behind her, and then I would start hitting her. And that did work, but I think it just made it harder on myself. I feel like all these tactics that I was using, or I thought I was using, I thought I was all smart doing it, it was actually kind of hurting me. So I think if you can get those moves down, like the charged dash or dodge, if you can get through that and figure that out sooner than I did, you probably have an easier time. But for me, I was just trying to work around it and find loopholes and trying to avoid everything I could. And it just kind of made the fight last probably longer than it should have. And so that's probably why she's so high on this list for me, is because, you know, she was the second boss and I was still new to the game and just trying to learn all the moves, and she really puts that work in. She makes you work it and she tests you, and I was definitely tested. So she's, I think, at a good spot in this list, number 6. I think she deserves it. Now if I go back, you know, it's easy, but at first she was definitely difficult. So the strap, number 6, well deserved. Next at number 5 we have the scale. This boss was difficult at first. It really was for me, because once I would get to that last phase, and I'm really gonna focus on that last phase because that's what stands out the most to me, and that was the most difficult. I would do okay getting there. I would make it, but that last phase would kill me. I think I died probably on that last phase at least a good 5 or 6 times, maybe more. And like I said, it was easy getting there. Eventually I figured out, okay, this guy's not so bad. I think he's more bark than bite, honestly, because he does taunt you a lot. He does have duplicates of himself, and that could seem overwhelming. You might think to yourself, like, damn, how am I gonna do this? Because there's so many of them. Really, if you think about it, if you really evaluate this fight, he's not even that bad. Like I said, he's just more bark than bite. And if you really just focus and understand that he's not anything to be worried about, you can get through it. It's just really about that last phase. And what's so difficult about it is because if you're not ready, you're not prepared, and he's throwing those lines at you and you're getting crossed up, you're getting hit, it distorts the vision a little bit, but it also, in my opinion, kind of distorts the gameplay. Like, I feel like it's kind of like a downward spiral after that. Once I would get hit unnecessarily at times, like just a stupid sloppy hit, I would just go downhill from there. I would just start getting hit by everything, and I just felt sloppy, like I couldn't dodge right. It just felt off. And I don't know if that's a gameplay thing or that was just in my head or something like that, but I felt like I could not get hit at the beginning of that phase or else I was doomed. And once I was able to overcome that and not get hit as much at the beginning, I was able to pass it. And that was a really, really hype fight for me. Like, I was so hyped up when I beat this boss. And it's because of that phase. It just was trying on me. It really tested me. So because of that last phase alone, and maybe some of the other phases at the beginning anyways, they were kind of difficult. Because of that, this boss definitely earned number 5 on this list. Oh my god, I did it! I freaking did it! Let's freaking go! Let's go! Oh. Let's freaking go right now. I'm so pumped. So pumped. Let's go. Oh, my hands are shaking. Next at number 4 is the song. And need I even say anymore? I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who think this chick was pretty tough. And she is. I think what it is because she's throwing so many new things at you. For one, she's in the air. She's flying around, so you have to work at a distance. And then 2, she's got some new moves and some new weapons. And I'll get into those in a second, but I just want to focus on those first few phases real quick. She is in the air, she is flying. The good thing about it is that once you get down her first bar of health, that's it for the phase. There's no second bar. There's no close quarters at that part, at least not yet. I think not until the 3rd or 4th phase. So up until then, yes, it is kind of difficult. Yes, it is a little different because, you know, you're focusing on this thing that is just flying everywhere and you have to really, you know, try and make those shots count. But for the most part, I mean, really, if you can just get through that, you're already halfway through the fight. So that's the good thing about this fight here. But the bad thing is once you get past that first half of the fight, then the difficulty really kind of spikes up. Not only are you avoiding her and what she's doing, but you have tons of orbs that she's creating and tons of waves. And the platforms that make up this stage of where you're fighting, they raise up and you have this huge territory to cover. So not only are you trying to make your way around this area, but she's using it to her advantage as well. The trick, at least in my opinion, was to turn it on her and use the platforms in the area on her. Because what I would do, and this was something I quickly kind of figured out, thankfully, was I would use the gaps between the platforms when she was trying to attack me. Instead of parrying her, because, you know, like I say, sometimes I'm not so confident in that, I would get distance, hop over that gap, and then I would shoot her with a charge shot. So once I kind of got that down, I was able to use that against her, get a lot of damage on her, and we would move on to the next thing. Now, when you get to that last phase, this gave me some trouble, and it still gives me trouble. I was trying to do a speed run probably, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, and I died because of that last phase. And I think what it is it's just that it's so overwhelming. There's a lot going on. You really, really have to be patient. And for whatever reason, I guess I wasn't patient this time I was trying to do the speed run, but I think a lot of us probably can suffer from this because we're trying to beat her, we're trying to get through, and there's so much going on. Okay, you have to take down these pillars. Every time you take down a pillar, though, she's going to have a new attack. So it's like layers upon layers of attacks. Each one you bring down, you're going to have something else to worry about. So it can become overwhelming. If you're not in the right spot, you're not taking the right angles, you can definitely go down pretty quick. So because of that, and just because of all the other new things that she introduces, like her crossbow, for example, she has this orb that she shoots at you, but it's delayed, and timing that delay and timing your attacks and parrying and all of that can be difficult. That alone, plus the overwhelming just everything that's going on, she's definitely difficult, and she's earned this spot on the list because she definitely gave me trouble. Thankfully, I was able to kind of watch other people fight her and learn a thing or two from them, and I kind of, you know, mixed that up with what I was already coming up with, and then I was able to get it done. But up until then, trying to figure her out and trying to figure out, you know, what works against her and how you can kind of outsmart her, it can be difficult. So yeah, definitely the song number 4 up on this list. She's deserved it. Next at number 3, we have The Burst. Oh, The Burst. Who doesn't love The Burst? Not only does she hide from you and shoot at you with a sniper rifle, which is a one-hit kill, by the way. Not only does she do that, but she taunts you as if you're the cheap one. She will literally tell you, this is how you fight? This chick freaking frustrated me, man. I'm not gonna lie, she had me very frustrated because of not only just having to find her, but once I would find her, she would just do all this cheap stuff. She would put up walls, she would block me into a corner, she would throw orbs at me, she would send her little robots after me. Some of them would shoot friendly orbs, like I like to call them. They'd have like health in there and stuff like that. But some of them, they would shoot things at you that you couldn't block. Unless you were really good at parrying, maybe. I didn't even try, honestly. I think you can parry them, though. I would have to use the walls to take cover many, many times. Just trying to find her was just frustrating within itself because, you know, she would be shooting at you. So you can see the angle that it's coming from, and you know she's over there. Once you get there, she's gone already. So that happened a lot. But once you can get past that, okay, once you can really get through that, have patience for that, which is doable. It's very doable. That last phase comes in, and when I tell you this last phase is hard, I mean it. And especially at the beginning when I was first facing her and I was first seeing this last phase, I thought to myself, how the heck am I going to do this? This is impossible. I can't even think of what to do, because that's how it felt. It just felt very overwhelming, and it felt like this is going to take days. And it really literally did. What I did was I took a break for like, I think 2 or 3 days, came back and beat her on the first try. Sometimes you just have to do things like that because of the frustration and just because of not thinking it through. And I think the more I thought about it, the more I saw other people were struggling with it, I realized like, okay, I'm not alone, but this is doable. I know it can be done. And so I came back and just got it done. So talk about relief and talk about never wanting to see a boss again. That's how I felt when I beat this thing. She's tough. And if you're, you know, not good at dodging and you're not good at taking cover right away and you're just not good at timing things, she could just take you out in one shot. And I saw people dying that way many, many times. And this is a fun fight to watch other people do, but when you're in it, it's pretty frustrating. So the burst is definitely high on this list just because of the all-around just challenge of it, trying to hunt her down while she's trying to hunt you down, and you know, trying to have patience for all of that, all the things she's throwing at you, and then getting to that last phase only to struggle and die. You would do all this work just to get there, and it just crumbles before you, you know? And that would happen a lot. So it makes it even more sweeter when you actually get it done. I was hyped when I beat this girl. So yeah, the burst, I don't really respect you, but I respect what we had, all right? You deserve this spot. Congrats. Oh, come on, please, please, is that the end? Let's freaking go! Kill her! Die! That's it, right? Let's go! Yes! Screw you! She's an 11? No. No, not in my book. Alright, and now for number 2. A lot of people are going to think, really, Erica? Seriously? But yes, I have the edge at number 2. This guy gave me so much trouble. Okay, and I really mean it. And there's nothing I can say in my head to talk me out of this. He has to be at number 2 right now. Maybe even number 1. I'll get into that later. But no, this guy just really, really gave me trouble. And it's just because of all the pairing that you have to do. I restarted the fight many, many times. And maybe that hurt me. Maybe that hurt my rhythm or something like that. Maybe it just wasn't flowing for me. But I kept restarting the fight. Which brings me to my next point and what makes this boss have a redeeming factor, I guess, is that this boss fight is not very long. The phases aren't very long, so it's easy to get back in there and dust yourself off. Okay, you can keep retrying and retrying. It's not like the burst, where you have all these long phases that you kind of get through only to get to a really hard phase. It wasn't like that. This was gradually harder, and they were short. And what makes this guy so difficult is that he takes more health from you if he does hit you. Instead of damaging 2 squares of health, he will damage 3. And before you know it, if he does a combo on you or something like that, you could be down to like 2 squares of health. And you're close to dead already. So he definitely put more challenge on me because of that. And just the fact that I was not the best at parrying, and he exposed that big time. He really exposed me, and it was frustrating. And I was getting just flat out frustrated with this guy. Because of that, you know, I think I stepped away for a day or 2, came back, still struggled, and eventually got it done, but I had to keep taking breaks. This guy was just having me shook, really. He was having me in my head. And I can't deny that. I can't lie and say, oh no, this guy's not so bad. No, he gave me trouble. And not only is he, you know, all up in your face in the close quarters, but he will also take you to a 2D kind of fight where you have to only move left or right. And that was different. And that was something I had to get used to. You also have to dodge some fire that he throws at you. Sometimes I would get hit by that, but for the most part, I was okay with that part. Dodging is cool for me. I can do it. The parrying is what really kind of messed me up because he has some delay hits. And the delay is, you know, troublesome within itself. And then he also has like his final form. And if you get caught in that, it's deadly because like I said, he's taking more health from you every time he hits you. So he can take your lives pretty quickly. So because of that and because of all the parrying that I had to do and his final form and the taunting he does, I hated this guy. He's definitely number 2 for me. He's definitely this high up, if not number 1, because he's just, I hate him. I just hate this guy. So yeah, the edge, number 2. And then number 1, I mean, this isn't really a surprise. The star, I'm still shook from this boss. I haven't even beat this boss. I haven't went back to it. I've been taking like a month-long break from this boss. There's so much going on with this boss. There's so much that you have to avoid. There's a lot that you have to do in terms of damage to this thing. I felt like the damage was so minimal when I would charge shot his hands. I felt like it was taking forever to kill this thing, and just to get to like the second phase was hard. I think that took me 5 or 6 tries, and then to get to the third phase was even harder. And there's more phases after that. I'm thinking, this is gonna be like the longest fight ever, and because of that I was just so psyched out and just thinking, okay, this is a hard boss. Like, this is a legit hard boss. Okay, forget what's in my head, forget my sloppiness, forget your sloppiness, forget anybody's sloppiness. You can be doing great and you're still gonna get hit by stuff. You're still going to have some trouble. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and throw Char out here. I don't mean to throw her under the bus. We're homies, right? Right, Char? But she played Furi on promenade mode. Scrub. But she did, okay? She's my homie, but you know, I've already teased her enough. But she played it on promenade mode because she wanted to stream it and just get through the game, which is fine, you know, it was entertaining. She gets to this boss because we tell her, hey, there's an optional boss, check it out. She was even dying to this freaking thing, and it only had 3 phases, and she was struggling. So I mean, it is Char, but I'm just playing. But she, you know, it just tells you that even on promenade mode, that this thing is going wild on you. There's just a lot to worry about. There's you know, just tons of challenge here. And like I said, I'm still shook. I still haven't went back. And so I'm gonna put this at number 1, but it's kind of in pending mode, okay? This could slip to number 2 or maybe even number 3 the more I try it, and maybe I'll eventually beat it and think, okay, that wasn't so bad. But at this moment, and I really want to get this video done, this is my number 1 because I still haven't beat it. So what more is there to say? You know what I mean? So that is my list, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your list if you'd like in the comment section. Let me know which boss you think gave you the most trouble or maybe gave you the least amount of trouble. Let me know. I really enjoyed Furi. I feel like it was a really great game, and I never did a review or anything, but I'm sure you guys know by now that I adore this game. I love this game and had a lot of fun with it, and I still am going to go back. I promise. Eventually I'll go back to try and kill this boss. But in the meantime, I'm just, you know, just appreciating this game. I felt like it was a huge sleeper, something that just kind of came out of nowhere and stunned a lot of people. There's a lot of people saying this is indie game of the year. This is maybe even game of the year, just in general. And that's a good thing. It's a really good game. So that's pretty much it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, let me know your thoughts, and I will catch you in my next one. Peace.